Hi Periscope, it's Mimi again. So doing two Periscopes in 2 days is like a lot for me, just because I'm so not a camera person, but I guess I get more comfortable as the broadcasts go along. So I'll give people a couple seconds just to come in. My name is Mimi, as I said before. If you want, you can invite your followers. Also, there's the little man on the right. So if you click on him, you can give hearts, invite your followers on Twitter, Facebook, wherever. I just wanted to thank you, Style Conscious, for inviting your followers. Today I wanted to talk about compromise. And so I just been thinking about it, kind of wrote down some notes that I wanted to talk about. So basically, I don't know if you all know, but I love definitions. I love words. I love to define. I love to find out the definition of words. I love to find out the root of the words, just kind of to give myself more, hi Quisha, to give myself more of a better understanding. And so what I was explaining was I'm talking about compromise today. And so when I looked up the word compromise and I looked up the definition, two definitions came up, which were so good. Hey, Quisha. So the first definition was a settlement of differences by mutual concessions, meaning both parties came to an agreement and you both agreed to compromise. The second one is to accept standards that are lower than is desirable. So most of the time, hey, is that Beautiful Beauties? Jackie? I think that's who that is. But most people, the second definition is what they're doing is accepting standards that are lower than what is desirable. And so when I started to think of compromise, we've all done it, I think, because I've definitely compromised in relationships where I did things that were not who I was, didn't agree with my morals, my values, just how I was raised, or just didn't agree with where I was in life at that point. And so one of the things people usually do is they compromise in relationships. And when you start compromising in a relationship, yeah, definitely, Quisha, we've all done it. When you start compromising in a relationship, you're in deeper than you even know, because when you start giving away parts of yourself that you wouldn't normally, when you start doing things that you wouldn't normally do. So if you were not a cusser, you didn't cuss, but now you're cussing like a sailor. Or if you're someone that said, I'm not drinking, but now you start drinking because that partner drinks. Or if you're someone who says, I'm saving myself for marriage, but now all of a sudden, you've allowed that person to convince you to have sex before marriage. You give parts of yourself away that you don't even realize. And so one of the things I was just kind of, looking at and studying and just reading up on is one of the verses that came up for me was Revelations 3:15 through 16. So it says, lots of people know this, standards are a must, definitely. Lots of people say, lots of people know Revelations 3. So it says, I know all the things you do, that you are neither hot nor cold. I wish that you were one or the other. But since you're like lukewarm water, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. And so that's God speaking to his people, saying, hey, you're either hot or you're cold. Like, you're either going to be in or you're going to be out. You're either going to follow my commands or you're not. And so for a lot of people, they think they can kind of, just walk the fence and be in the world and doing the things of the world, but still call yourself a Christian, still call yourself you are still a child of God, but still calling yourself a follower of Christ. And so another thing I was studying, I've been in the book of I'm studying through the books of 1st and 2nd Timothy, but right now I'm in 1st Timothy. And in the first chapter of 1st Timothy, it talks about how let me read the verse for you. It says, it put people's faith in their good conscience in the same pattern. So it basically said, hold on to faith and a good conscience. Some have rejected these, and and it has shipwrecked their faith. So it just kind of boggled my mind how God put faith and a good conscience in the same kind of in the same line. When you have a good conscience, then your faith can be on another level. When your conscience isn't clear, when you know you aren't doing things that are right, you can't have the faith, you can't operate in the faith that you need in order to operate at the optimum level that God has called you to. And so that was something that was really empowering for me and really eye-opening for me. Like, when your conscience is clear, then you operate at the optimum level of faith. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, that was just amazing. And so, two things. Compromising causes you to pull away from God. So you cannot go to God with full confidence when you aren't doing what his commands call you to do. And compromises causes you to depend on yourself rather than God. So first, you pull away from God, and then when you're pulling away from God, that causes you to then depend on yourself. Because if you're not dependent on God, then who do you have to depend on? Of course, you can call yourself depending on people, but people are not reliable. They're not as reliable as the God that made you. And so that's one of the things. The second thing is compromising forces you to accept less than what God has for you. So when you lower your standards and your values for someone, you're settling for someone that doesn't see or know your value. So when you're settling and you're allowing someone to cause you to lower yourself, you're then settling for someone who doesn't even see your worth, who doesn't even know it. And so those were one of the two main things that I wanted to talk about. So settling causes you to pull away from God and to depend on yourself. And then it also causes you to then settle for less than what God has for you. And so one of the verse I want to leave you with, because I'm always going to give you Bible, is Hebrews 10:35 and 39 through 39. So it says, do not throw away this confident trust in the Lord. Remember the great reward it brings you. Patient endurance is what you need now, so that you will continue to do God's will. Then you will receive all that he has promised. For in just a little while, the coming one will come and will not delay. And my righteous ones will live by faith. But I will take no pleasure in anyone who turns away. But we are not like those who turn away from God to their own destruction. But we are the faithful ones whose souls will be saved. And another version says, we are not of those that shrink back and are destroyed, but we are of those that have faith in God. So God calls us to not shrink back. When you're shrinking back, that means you're compromising. You're afraid. You don't have confidence. You don't trust what God says, and you don't trust who he says you are. And so for some people, I know, my thing is purity. I'm all about strict adherence to what God calls us to do in terms of our bodies and our temples. And for me, purity is not just about not having sex. Purity is purity of the mind, of your mouth, of your heart, of the things that you watch and you look at, the things that you listen to, and just in the way that you act as well. Purity is just not about sex. It's a total makeover, total restoration of who you are in Christ. And so I just want to leave you all with just that, learning who you are and not compromising who you are in Christ, not compromising who he's called you to be because of another person, because of a job, a situation, because of family, whoever. Stand up in who you are. Stand up knowing that he's called you to a higher purpose, called you for a greater destiny. He's called you to be a change agent, basically, in this in our society, especially because we don't have really high standards in this society. So definitely give me hearts. Definitely invite your followers if you like what you heard. Share it on Facebook, Twitter. I do these on Fridays. I call them Fix It Jesus Fridays. Just because I see so much that's so just like a lot of foolishness. And I'm like, man, fix it, Jesus. So I do these on Fridays more consistently now. And definitely wanting to, if you have any ideas, if you have any topics you think I should talk about, I should address. Some of the past topics were addressing the Sierra when she got engaged to her boo, and they announced that they were waiting until marriage to have sex, and it was like this big thing because people just thought, she's not worthy of waiting for, which I don't know who can make that determination. But anywho, just talking about different things that are happening in pop culture and church as well. So if you like what you see, oh my gosh, Iyanla and these gay pastors, I can't even wrap my mind yet to even talk about it because I was just so angry watching it. I was really just upset. My friend Michelle could tell you I was just so angry watching that show. It's just, yeah, let me not comment right now. I just have to get my thoughts together and then I'll comment. And another question I got was talking about shows such as Scandal and Empire and what's the other one? There's like three or four shows, just talking about whether or not Christians should be viewing those shows. And so I think I'm going to address that next Friday, because I was one of the Scandal heads, and God really convicted me personally on watching that show, just because it promotes so many things that as Christians we don't support, but we support those shows, and we're rooting for a woman who's a mistress. So yeah, Michelle, I know you gotta get it together. So yeah, next week I'll be talking about that. I'll be addressing it. And if you have any questions, if you have any points that you think I should make, definitely email me at iwaitedblog@gmail.com. So it's iwaitedblog@gmail.com. And I'll be sure to answer anything I can on this next broadcast. So see you guys next week sometime. Maybe I'll do one in the middle of the week, and then I'll definitely be on Friday. So love y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.